up with a letter that says like,
Yeah.
because we have what, like 30 days to
What-
kill
what-
it or
what-
something?
I'm here for back now, so.
Oh, nice.
That's what I hope.
Yeah.
If they say no, then
Yeah,
I'm
this
gonna
is
go
our
to
third round, so
Okay.
we're.
Bible
Table
here,
for-
I'm missing
And how's that?
9 feet.
Well, you would have
It's a
to
very,
show
it's a very tricky building.
plot
as you
plan
can
would
imagine.
show
It
where-
sits right at
where
the
your
two
land
rivers
is,
there.
and it shows that property.
Yeah, I got
checked.
full price,
Yeah.
full, you know.
So,
yeah,
you're
And
gonna have
the
to.
funding gets really, really complex.
Is it a big one?
It's a
Good
like a
size.
pretty
I mean,
critical
yeah,
piece
it's
for
a
us.
good size. And it means I feel it.
We made a lot of work, a lot of headway the last 2 years.
And it's pre-existing, it predates
So,
that.
and,
You know, and nobody ever said anything, but
Welcome
that
to
was
the
my
rock.
part.
Yeah.
Now I say for a walk.
Oh, yeah, that was hard.
I went through 2024,
But it's all brutal.
you know, it kind of expedited things, right? You know, so we had a ton of people we needed.
You wanna do it before I go inside?
Can I do a Rita?
Yeah, anyway, somebody go let her light.
Check it out.
Just one.
So don't say anything about the
Thank you, sir.
administration. We'll keep it low.
Peter, could you send the Zoom link to Troy?
Hello?
Hi, Troy. Yeah,
Hi,
Peter's going to be sending that to you. Typically, you have to request it. So, to avoid Zoom bombing.
Hi, can everyone see me?
It's on.
Kasia, yep.
Who is it?
Kasia.
Kaz online.
Kaz on. She's on the Zoom, so we have a quorum, even with Troy coming on.
We have one item unrelated to the meeting itself today, so I'd like to call this meeting to order and take a moment to recognize the passing of one of our members. Todd, do you mind putting yourself on mute unless you desire to talk? Thank you. I'd like to recognize the passing of one of our members, Philip Shea. He was a graduate of Lowell High School. He was a winner of the Golden Gloves Boxing Championship, which starts tonight. He was the Chief Financial Officer for the Secretary of the Commonwealth under Mr. Galvin, and a Lowell City Councilor, House of Representatives, and a State Senator. He will be missed, and we would like to take a moment of silence in his memory. Thank you. All right. The first item for business is the December 4th meeting minutes. Any comments?
I don't ever remember seeing them.
They were sent around.
Were they?
Yes.
Okay. I looked at my email, I'm like, I don't know.
I did see them, but I wasn't present, so nothing.
Anybody want to make a motion to approve?
Yes. All right, geez.
Second?
There you go.
Oh, I didn't see them.
All right.
Troy, I mean, I can't, I didn't.
I wasn't in
I
attendance.
Would
can
Troy or Kyle
second.
like to second the approval of the meeting? Yeah,
I
there you
can
go. Troy's
second.
second.
I'll
All
second.
in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, and to begin our regular program today, we have hold on, sorry. The CPA application for the All Wheels Welcome program. An application has been submitted by the City of Lowell to start their All Wheels Welcome plan. The plan includes upgrades to 3 city skate parks to diversify access to wheeled recreation. The applicant is seeking $600,000 for the project. I believe we have Jess Wilson from the city online.
Yes, I'm here.
Jess, hello, go ahead. We can hear you just fine.
Thank you. Is it all right if I share my screen? I have a brief presentation to share.
Of course.
All right. Okay, can you all see the All Wheels welcome presentation?
Yes, we can.
Great. So to start off, my name is Jess Wilson. I'm a design planner for the City of Lowell Department of Planning and Development. I manage projects related to parks and public spaces. And All Wheels Welcome is a project promoting wheeled recreation in Lowell that has been in the works for a couple of years now. So to give you a little bit of context, the city up until this year had 4 skate parks. We now have 3 skate parks. This year we removed the defunct skate park at Roberto Clemente Park in the Lower Highlands neighborhood. It hadn't been used in many, many years due to disrepair, and community engagement showed that there was a desire to replace that with space for events like Khmer New Year in the park. So we've just finished a $1.8 million renovation of that park, but to help alleviate the loss of the skate park space, we wanted to address the other 3 skate parks remaining in the city. Those are at Rotary Club Park, sometimes known as Whipple Skate Park, in the Back Central neighborhood, Hadley Park, which is a very popular park in the Highlands, and Kumitsalis Park, which is in the Acre neighborhood. The goals for this project include making Lowell streets safer by providing better infrastructure and destinations for wheeled recreation, reducing conflicts among wheeled recreation user groups by diversifying park amenities beyond the traditional skate park, improving access and reducing barriers to participating in wheeled recreation sports for youth and disabled athletes, amplifying youth voices in planning, design, and stewardship of these spaces, promoting Lowell as a welcoming destination for wheeled recreation, regardless of age or skill level, and improving multimodal connectivity between Lowell High School and downtown and surrounding residential neighborhoods. So this project started in 2022 with a couple of students who actually studied the idea of adding a pump track to Kumencelis Park. So this was their project that they put together that kind of got the wheels rolling to think about how we can better support wheeled recreation in Lowell. So I have to give credit to Sage Voorhees and Madeline Levin from the Harvard University Master of Urban Planning course studio for all the work that they did in the beginning of this project. So to give you a little snapshot of the existing conditions, these are the 3 parks that we are talking about as part of this project. Kumencelis currently has 3 large baseball fields, at least 2 of which are quite underutilized. It also has the skate park, a basketball court, and a small playground. Rotary Club Park is a funky one. It's got the skate park and it's got a community garden, but they are separated by this road that you can see in this photo. And then Hadley Park is a very beloved park. It has a baseball field, a playground, which was just upgraded this past year, a basketball court, and this skate park, which is probably one of the most heavily used of the 3 skate parks. Our proposal looks at upgrading all 3 skate parks, but adding some additional amenities for wheeled recreation as well. So wheeled recreation goes beyond just biking and skateboarding. It's inclusive of scooters, bikes, rollerblades, skateboards, wheelchairs, mobility devices, anything with wheels really can fall into that category of wheeled recreation. So in addition to the skate park upgrades, ultimately we'd be exploring the idea of adding a pump track at Kumencelis Park, sort of a paved, undulating surface for typically bikers really enjoy those spaces. And then at Rotary Club Park, the proposal includes potentially dissolving at least a portion of that road that cuts the park in two, so that we can reconnect the 2 sides of the park and add some space for playground. So we would be in kind of the theme of wheeled recreation looking for a traffic playground. We just installed our first traffic playground for the city in the Centerville neighborhood. It just opened a couple months ago at McPherson Park. And that is essentially a miniature network of streets and road signs, and it's a safe place for youth and younger children to learn how to safely ride their bikes in the road without having to compete with real traffic. It's a lot of fun. We had our ribbon cutting. A lot of kids came out with their bikes and they were loving that space. So we want to expand that initiative to create traffic playgrounds in the city. And then Hadley Park, probably of the 3 parks, really just needs the skate park upgrade. There's minimal other upgrades and improvements that are needed at Hadley, given that we just upgraded the playground this past year and we are scheduled to upgrade the field with new lighting this coming year. So we looked at a few different projects for inspiration for this. This one is Camp Woodward Snake Run. That gives you kind of a sense of what a pump track space might look like. This is the North Houston Skate Park in Texas. As you can see, I think it's one of the largest skate parks in the country, and it has a lot of different features, and so it can accommodate a lot of different user groups. Often these skate parks, there's a lot of conflicts between different user groups, different ages, different skill levels, all want to share the same small space. So the more that we can kind of expand and spread out and diversify these amenities, the more we can reduce those conflicts among user groups. This is a pump track in Los Angeles. This is a bit more of like the conventional pump track. There's one very similar to this in Allston, Massachusetts. And this is a traffic playground example from New Zealand. I should update this presentation with our own traffic playground now that we've finished that. And this is the conceptual plan for Kumitsalis Park. So beyond the initial skate park upgrade, we'd be looking to upgrade the playground to be a traffic playground, upgrading the basketball court, essentially getting rid of 2 of the underutilized baseball fields, keeping 1, but that would allow us a room for a soccer field or another sort of multi-use athletic field with the pump track, as well as upgrades to the overall site and the canal walk and accessibility from the neighborhood. This is just kind of an illustrative sketch that shows what that space might look like conceptually. We would need to hire designers, of course, which is what we're applying for funding, to kind of finalize the design of these concepts and go out to construction for the first phase of work. So this one is Rotary Club Park and back central, and you can see where the proposed traffic playground would kind of connect back those 2 pieces of the skate park and the community garden. This is what the traffic playground might look like. And Hadley Park, not a lot of room to expand the skate park in Hadley Park because it's kind of sandwiched between the playground and the basketball court, but certainly a great opportunity to upgrade what's there in the existing space. This project aligns with goals that were identified through an extensive community engagement process as both part of the Lowell Forward Master Plan completed in 2024 and the city's current open space and recreation plan. So our overall budget for this project, we're anticipating close to $4 million, but for this first phase, this first CPA ask, we're seeking $600,000. So this initial $600,000 would get us design for the full project. So the full kind of master plan of this concept ready to go out to bid for construction. But also half of that funding would be to implement upgrades to the 3 skate parks as part of phase 1 of the project. So kind of starting with upgrading what we have, and then from there, future phases would add to that and add some new additional amenities. All right, that's my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Jess. I've always wanted to try the pump track. Very excited about that. I don't think I have any questions for you. Very thorough. Appreciate your time. Anybody got any questions?
No.
No? All right.
All set.
Thanks, Jess.
No problem. Thank you.
Next up, we have a application for St. Anne's Church. An application has been submitted by St. Anne's Episcopal Church seeking $401,125 for the rehabilitation of the historic building. Good evening.
Thank you so much for having us. I'm Ginger Slock.
One second. Peter, what's the best way to take the audio? Should we move this over there, or?
Yeah, you can move it forward.
Down. That's good. That way. Toward it. Yeah, you go. That'll work.
Perfect.
You were getting feedback earlier, but I think
You might turn it down a little bit then.
yeah.
Thanks. Hello to everyone on Zoom, and here with 2 of my colleagues, Jess Lambert, our church treasurer, Ben Opara, lay leader in our parish. We came to you last year with an ambitious project to make some essential repairs to the envelope of our building, the roof, the exterior woodwork and windows, the sort of structure under the slate as well as the slate itself, and some essential repointing. The parish has also contributed significantly financially to this project, and we're actively applying for other grants as well. You all wisely suggested that we split this into a 3-year project. We just started phase 1. It's going really well. You can see the light, probably not from here, but as you drive by, look for the light flashing on the copper of the rectory, which is really exciting to see those improvements and the sort of essential role that St. Anne's plays in downtown Lowell, in the folk festival, and being a meeting space for things like Winterfest. We are now applying for sort of year 2 of a 3-phase process. We're really hopeful that year 3 we might be able to fund independently from other granting sources. So that's a big change and an exciting one for us. But In conversation with the contractor recommended by the historic board, we think that the essential tasks for year 2 are the external woodwork so that we can stop water intrusion. This year we'll, God willing, have finished the roof, which is really exciting, as well as some gutters that directing water further from the base of the building, which will help as well. 2 new changes that we think are really exciting that will make this work an even better investment are first that St. Anne's has been officially put on the National Register of Sites of Importance in the Underground Railroad. You all might have known, I did not know before I started work at St. Anne's, that the rectory was actually a stop on the Underground Railroad, that the first rector of St. Anne's was an anti-slavery activist. And folks who came north stayed there. This was sort of the end of the rail line, and then you would go on, you'd have to find another way to go further north. So folks stayed in the rectory. And there's interest on the part of the National Park in investing in some signage and education work in the wider community, so that's exciting. The other exciting piece is that we are in deep conversation with Riverbend, which is formerly Lowell House, largest drug and alcohol treatment provider in Lowell, to my understanding, about a shared project in Edson Hall, which is the building behind the church, focusing on what they've identified as a real hole in recovery services, which is the 2 to 7 year mark. Their statistics are really interesting that if you can make it to 7 years, the odds of your sobriety lasting, even with relapses and all the complicated things that we know go on, are very good, but intensive services often end at 2 years. So how do we support people in those 2 to 7 years? We're in conversation about their taking over the interior portion of that building to build a community kitchen for training folks who are in recovery, as well as what's called a recovery cafe, which is a really new innovative model of support for folks in later recovery. And so the work that we can do to make the envelope of the building viable facilitates a really essential service for the city of Lowell. And I can give details on the work that's been done in phase 1 and what we anticipate for phase 2, or I can also defer to my colleagues if you have anything to add.
It's just been pretty intense as far as what we need to do. And we're grateful for the teamwork that the city has provided to us. And we're just trying to keep it moving forward. The activities from the folk festival and the Winterfest as well have keep people coming through, and we're just trying to maintain that process for them, everyone, as part of the city.
We're particularly grateful to the city of Lowell for helping us through this process. I know it's usually not, it hasn't been the case, but we are eternally grateful for the city to recognize the importance of St. Anne's Church right in the middle of the heart of the city, and the role that it has played historically for this city. So we are grateful for you to bend over backwards and do what hasn't been the case for many years to help in the parish.
I'm very grateful for the opportunity to serve on this board because it makes other parts of my life here in the city come full circle. For example, I'm on the Lowell Festival Foundation board, which runs the Lowell Folk Festival. And so while, you and I certainly haven't worked together, I spend a lot of time thinking about St. Anne's and spend time out there every summer, even though most of it's under the trash tent. But, it's so nice hearing projects like this that are vital parts of the project. I would ask, just for clarity, that you recap once for us just what the money that is being covered here.
Yeah.
What are you applying for funding?
And if I could just add to that, if you would, the funding that has already been issued in the past, kind of what you guys have started, if we do both, that would.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a bit of background, and forgive me if I'm telling you things you already know. There are 3 buildings on the St. Anne's campus. There's the actual church building, there's the rectory, and then there's Edson Hall, which is behind the church. All 3 are historic. So year 1 is focused on roof repair. So gutters, flashing, ridge caps, bump outs, that sort of structure under and around the roof that makes it worthwhile to replace the slate, if that makes sense. There's some severe leaking going on, and already we're seeing that get better in the rectory, which is the first building that we started work on. Year 2 would be a repair of window frames, sills, and casings. You can see in your packet some pictures of just the normal, what 200 years does. To that, specialized repairs for the rear chapel windows, and repair of rotted fascia soffits woodworking. That's particularly on the back building, which has been used for a lot of different things. It was initially an orphanage for the children of mill workers. It's been a Sunday school, it's been a residence. Now it hosts a range of nonprofits that have sort of gotten their start. Does that answer?
Yes. Okay. You also mentioned your general contractor on board. Who is that?
Craig Smith.
Very good.
Yeah.
That's all my questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I only have one on my side, and then here you go. Have you explored anything on the private side? I know other applicants and other historic buildings have had success recently with financial institutions that are interested. And so I would just suggest, to look into, I think we're fine to say it's public knowledge, the Smith-Baker Center was able to get a substantial bit of help through private financial institutions. So, and doing very similar work, roof work for the slate, for things like that. So, something that you may want to explore as well on top of what you're doing.
I'm glad you brought up the Smith-Baker, because I was thinking while you were talking about it. They are also discussing the community kitchen.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
If there's a way that,
Yeah.
who knows if two get built, right?
Yeah.
You never know. But, I would love to see an opportunity for people to work together to make one space better than have 2 spaces that are fighting for each other for the same funding.
That makes sense.
So if you don't mind, reach out to them.
Yeah, of course.
And stay in touch at the very least.
Yeah, and just to clarify a little bit, it is a slightly, I sort of use community kitchen as a shorthand, so a slightly different model, and so we've been in contact with them in the city. But yeah, so our plan would be to use it as training and actually run the cafe out of that area. My understanding is they're thinking more commissary kitchen, which there's some interest at the edges in that model for us, but I think they could both work. But still worth ongoing conversation. Yeah, and I'd love to hear. I didn't know they'd.
Yeah, and they will secure substantial financing. So
Thank you.
Well, conversation.
Yeah, super. Thank you.
All good? Good. All right. Thank you for your presentation. Next up, an application from 169.2 Bridge Street, the Boiler Building in Mass Mills. An application has been submitted by Mullen Management Company to convert the existing boiler building at Mass Mills into 79 units of mixed income housing. The application is seeking $803,522.25 for the project. Good evening. Anybody here from?
That's me.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Thanks for having me. So I figured Peter, would you be able to pull up that, just a photo of the building? And hello, everybody on Zoom. I figured I could start with a high-level overview just to reorient everybody with the project. Then I can kind of say what's happened within the last year, because this is our 3rd year applying, and then I can kind of answer any questions, and I can definitely hit any of the questions regarding previous funding and what the funds would be used for as well. So Joe Mullins and Mullins collectively has owned the mill yard for quite some time. I would say since the mid-1980s. The first two phases were developed in the late 80s, early 90s. Mass Mills 3, which is kind of the newer one, and I can kind of point. Mass Mills 1 and 2, Mass Mills 3, Mass Mills collectively 4. The larger building, 5 stories, that's the boiler building that we're calling. The smaller building, the main power building, is 3 stories. When we did our initial application, we applied for both. We wanted this to be a combined project to get them both done in one time. What had ended up happening is, in the eyes of the National Park Service, there are 2 buildings, there are 2 tax parcels, there are 2 Part 2s, Part 3s, et cetera. So there's 2 allocations of state credits, there's 2 allocations of federal credits as well. So we had been trying to phase them together. When we really ramped up our design efforts this past year, we brought on the architectural team. We've been kind of blowing through all of our design drawings. We're hopeful to get 30% CDs next week, which is pretty substantial. There was a lot of exploration done. I don't know if anyone's been near or inside of these buildings, but there's no interior floors. They're basically just cubes, and then they have basements, and the basements are full of asbestos-containing materials and other things. So getting contractors down there has been very difficult. So when we started doing the heavy exploration, it was really difficult to say what was good, what was bad. This building's been here for 100 years. Because of that, we did a lot of digging. We actually had people go down to the Smithsonian in Washington, pull the original blueprints. We were able to get the original construction documents for the boiler building, which is the basis of a lot of our assumptions, but we were not able to get those for the main power building. And so the current assumption is that, essentially the main power building has been sitting on wooden piles on top of the river for, since it's been built. And obviously the level of that river is quite variable. So there's some working assumptions that made pricing very difficult. And then I would say the other avenue of why we've only done the boiler is we've really pushed forward the financing of the project. Mass Housing has a new market rate financing source. It's called their Build Forge program. They've created a private equity fund to essentially fund market rate developments, looking for like bridge financing. We've been in talks with them for almost a year. We're kind of on the short list of projects. They really like our project. I think we're the only Lowell project, or were at the time. They've basically verbally given us the okay. They would love to give us $10 million towards the project, which is included in kind of the sources and uses. And we're just kind of working through some of the final hurdles relating to some of the technical aspects of also being a historic deal, and kind of meeting some of the requirements that Mass Housing is going to need. They weren't willing necessarily to do more than that 10 million. So when we kind of switched to the boiler building only, it's in kind of necessity of available funding. So that was a large check. Originally, it was going to be split between both buildings in an effort to get one done. We've had to ask them to, focus on the boiler building and kind of consolidate. We also applied for HDIP tax credits in 2025. Those are state market rate multifamily tax credits. We did get an award for each building. We applied for 2, $2.5 million to each building. So, we're really looking for all available funds to get the project done. But even with that, basically with the design issues and some of the financing issues, we elected to focus on the boiler building and really push that one forward. It's bigger, but there are physical aspects to the building that actually make it more financeable than the other one. It's got what's called a double loaded corridor. So there's units on both sides of the hallway instead of just units on one side. So it's more efficient. It's also taller. And so for the same foundational work, we can get more units. So from those physical aspects, we believe it would, and having all the historical drawings helps. So that's kind of our big change. So when we had come in, it was also 100% affordable. And the reason we had elected to switch towards 80% market rate and 20% affordable is because all of these new capital sources came online for market rate developments. And the queue for the affordable low-income housing tax credits is 2 to 3 years. And we didn't necessarily want to wait 2 to 3 years to try to get it done. So we've done a lot of work over the past year, kind of designing the building, coming up with a plan, coming up with kind of the actual construction logistics, which involves quite a bit of shoring and staging. I mentioned our CD set should be out very soon. We've had Aberthaw Construction, so local Lowell contractor, on board for pre-construction services for over a year now. They've been helping with our pricing, with the logistics plan, working with the contractor or with the architects. And we've also recently gone out in an RFP process to a little bit of a wider range of general contractors, just to make sure we've got the best available pricing, to see if we can close any of our financing gaps. And Aberthaw is involved in that RFP, so they'll be, kind of competing, although they should have the most info out of everybody because they've been working on it for so long. It's a big project. It's an expensive project. Our budget that I submitted in our application, just over $60 million. We have been awarded, I think, $271,000 and some change to date in the prior 2 rounds. We're hoping to get the award close to $1 million in total after as many rounds as we would need to be. And I think it is an important piece of the capital stack for us. Joe Mullins is willing to put in a pretty significant portion of his own money to see this deal through. Unfortunately, costs are very high. This isn't necessarily a market rate like equity development deal, in the sense that we're going with mass housing because the private financing that our typical large check investors wouldn't be interested in this. It doesn't provide the returns necessary. So we've been doing everything we could to, work through all the state programs and all the local programs, and really exhaust kind of the full breadth of available sources. I know that's a lot, and I know what I submitted was a large document, so I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody, and especially anybody on Zoom that might have any questions about anything, really.
I'm very much of the opinion that this building should be filled in whatever alignment of affordability makes the most sense for the project. I mean, this is something that I grew up, when I would come to Lowell, I would drive by this building. Obviously, there was a few other ones along the way that were run down as well, but obviously, this is the last one that is, facing from the Centerville Riverwalk. We're going to see major improvements over there by the city in the next couple of years at the Aiken Street bridge for the, what are they calling it? The Sponge Park? Yeah. And so that'll be a little further upriver, but so that's really a time that I feel strongly about using the momentum to improve that corridor along the Merrimack River. Thank you for your continued diligence.
Of course.
Yeah. Any questions?
Yeah, any affordable units at all?
20%.
20%?
So, yeah, so I've been rounding up to 80, so it's just under 20 units.
Okay. You've received 271,000 thus far. What has that been used for to date?
So we're not planning to spend any of the money until the construction starts. So we're still in pre-development.
Just stockpiling it?
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they can't use this for pre-development.
Yeah, we can't use it for pre-development. So, and it's a long runway to get all the financing sources together. So I think we'd all feel much more comfortable waiting until construction started anyways.
Thank you.
Just to make sure public understands, you had mentioned that the private investors, this doesn't really pencil out for them.
Correct.
You want to just give an elaboration for people to understand why programs like this are so necessary?
Yes. If you think of, when most people think of investments, they think of the stock market and they look at annual returns of the stock market, and people can kind of point back and they say, the last 100 years of the stock market, the average has been 8% annually. So when you compare against other asset classes, real estate being an asset class, you'd say, well, I want, to make just as much as the stock market, or maybe it's less risky. So I only need 7% instead of maybe 8%. But they're looking basically to adjust the return based on the risk. Real estate development is very risky. So it should command a return that's much higher because it's much riskier. You could put money in, a company that's been around 100 years and has paid a dividend for the last 50 years versus, a project that could take, 3 years of pre-development and 2 years of construction and cost overruns. And so it should command a much higher return. The costs and some of the physical aspects of this building it doesn't pencil that way. So when we look at, all the construction loan and we look at what we're going to be able to rent them, because there is a cap of what people will pay for these units, right? These aren't luxury units. These are, they'll be new, they'll be nice, but, they don't have marble floors. They don't have, anything that I would consider luxury. I would consider them, nice value units. And, usually people can only pay a certain amount of their income. So there's a natural cap of what you can pay. And that income is used essentially to, pay the loan to the bank, which gets the building built. And then what's left over after you pay the bank generally goes to your investors. And so when it all flows through, those investors are looking for something generally higher than that 8% on the stock market, significantly higher. And I would say that these returns are significantly lower than that. And that's why Mass Housing's Momentum Fund and their Build Forge program has been very helpful because it's a large equity check. So it doesn't come with liability like a loan does. So if you don't pay the loan, the bank gets it. But if Mass Housing puts in equity, it's equity, so it's at-risk capital, so it's treated differently. That capital is priced very cheaply. It's priced basically below that 8% that I'm talking about, so that projects like this could get funded, and also sources like these, like the CPC grant, is also an integral part of this capital stack, because we can't go out to the market and ask people to give their money to this project because it doesn't support the returns they'd be looking for. Too much, too little?
No, that's good.
Just right.
No, I think just two other small questions. One, how are you going to handle parking?
So there are no parking requirements per zoning, but we appreciate that people like to park. We do have parking on site. We'll be doing some sort of allocation that the new units will have an allocated amount. We don't exactly know what the breakdown is yet, but we'll basically, the whole campus will be open for parking. We don't have, marked spots. It's kind of first come, first serve for all the residents. So it'll be kind of absorbed into the campus.
And do you plan to keep the garden that's naturally grown on top of the building as well?
The trees.
From a water infiltration standpoint, no, but I'm remiss that, the amount of birds and wildlife that have gone up there, and made their homes, will be a little sad when it gets done.
Appreciate the presentation.
Good. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our final application of the 2025 season is 408 Suffolk Street, Suffolk Place. An application has been submitted by Suffolk Place LLC to construct 33 units of affordable housing. The applicant is seeking $300,000 for the project, and I believe we have Francie Slater online.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. My name is Francie Slater, and I'm here tonight representing Suffolk Place. Hopefully you're not too sick of us yet. We're very grateful for the support of Community Preservation Act funding. It's been integral for both the Acre Crossing development as well as Suffolk Place. This is our third request coming into the committee. And I'm happy to share updates about where the project is right now and also kind of shed some light on why a request to CPC is being made right now. So the building is being built. It's really exciting. We broke ground in April of 2025, and we're expecting to be complete in June of this year. So that's a pretty good turnaround time. We've got 33 units of affordable homeownership housing being built there, as well as 6,500 square feet of commercial space on the ground floor on Market Street. The units, we're still working on the final pricing for those units, and we're kind of working within the CHAPA and Mass Housing marketing guidelines for that. It's all very spelled out according to the Commonwealth Builder program, how we have to market those units. But we have several different levels of those pricing. We've got 5 units that will be priced at 80%, and we're looking at about $189,000 for those units as a sale price. And this is all subject to change and subject to interest rates and what's going on in the market and how that formula works out. But just as an idea, and not to be quoted publicly, but we have 8 units at 90% AMI that will be around 230,000. We have 17 units at 100% that will be about 240,000. And then those are all 1-bedroom units. And then there are 3 2-bedroom units that will also be marketed at 100% AMI at about 310,000. So we're working really hard to get these units completed and out on the market. We know that there's a high demand. We're working closely with Merrimack Valley Housing Partnership. They are our lottery and marketing agency, and they have a great pipeline of buyers that they work closely with to educate their buyers and do the financial counseling and really walk them through step by step every aspect of the process of becoming qualified buyers for these units, as well as getting their financing lined up, getting all the buyer side tools of down payment assistance and interest rate buy downs that they can. They worked an incredible amount of magic for Acre Crossing. I think they leveraged over $500,000 of buyer side tools for those buyers to get into those homes. So we're really excited to continue our work with the Merrimack Valley Housing Partnership. Where we're at financially and why we've come back to this committee asking for another request here is that our development costs have continued to go up over time. We have seen some unforeseen expenses in the site remediation. We found asbestos and lead at the site when we started the excavation and site preparation. Those cost overages are nearing $300,000. We also had some increases in building materials and supplies that were above the quotes that our subs brought into us. That's about $167,000. And unforeseen interest expenses due to the requirements of mass housing. They could not bring mass housing money into this deal until we were issued a building permit. And so given the extensive site prep that had to be done and the high costs of all of that remediation and removal, the interest expense that the developers have had to pay on the money they borrowed on their construction loan to cover that period is over $70,000. So altogether, I didn't actually add it. I didn't actually add it all up, but it's I would say close to $500,000 above what we had included in our budget. The Commonwealth Builder subsidy is incredibly necessary, and it's over $9 million for this deal. It's actually $9,018,989 that the state is putting in to this deal. And so, of course, we are incredibly grateful and acknowledge the benefit of the CPC's previous contributions of $400,000 for this project. And we're coming back today looking for an additional grant of $300,000. And just for a little bit of context to kind of add, Acre Crossing also received $763,000 from the CPA grant for that project. And I know we've been kind of coming back repeatedly, but that was kind of what we were advised to do strategically, was to, you know, just start the project and continue to put in applications. So I'm happy to answer any questions or share any details if there are any in the room.
It was a lot easier for us to give $763,000 to Acre Crossing in year one when we had $4 million to spend.
Yes.
So certainly understand you guys coming back. Again, we do welcome people to come back. I think the majority of the groups that we've talked about here today are return customers, which, you know, happy to keep you guys pushing your projects forward. And you can confirm that Acre Crossing is 100% sold and occupied now?
Yes, Acre Crossing, the last unit was sold in February of 2025. And so that building is 100% occupied, and things are going well over there. The owners have so the homeowners association, for the first year, the developer kind of holds that that organization, and then that has been turned over fully to the resident owners. So they're fully managing and everything's going well.
Great. They're pretty similar projects. I don't really have any specific questions about this building. Go ahead, Dan.
Yep. Just quickly, the difference between the two projects is basically parking. Is that correct? The Acre
Correct.
Crossing has parking.
Yeah,
and
so
the
Acre
other, the new
Crossing,
one.
right. So Acre Crossing, the parking kind of is a shared lot with JDCU. And the agreement also included parking for Suffolk Place. So when Acre was built, they really overbuilt that parking deck, expecting there to be a second phase of housing development. So the expectation is that parking will be available for Suffolk Place residents as well.
How many spaces are available at Acre Crossing?
I believe that the lot has over 70 spots, the upper deck. And I don't believe that it is full at this point. They're still working out a parking agreement, hammering out the details with Jeanne d'Arc Credit Union. And that's part of what the Homeowners Association has kind of their first line of work, is to get that really laid out, because right now it's been kind of in a temporary situation. The idea is that the resident owners would have to pay for parking. It's not a deeded parking spot. It would be a leased parking spot, but that the leased rate would be basically to cover the costs. So looking at somewhere around $40 a month for a leased parking spot.
Who are they leasing from?
From JDCU. JDCU owns the parking deck.
Got it. Okay. And how many units in the Acre Crossing?
There are 32 units at Acre Crossing and 33 in Suffolk Place.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have nothing. This is a very similar project to what we've seen in the past, so good understanding.
All right. Thank you very much, Francie. Appreciate your time. Thank you for your presentation. Looking forward to, you guys may be able to stabilize this site. There's nothing else on our agenda today. We do have a need to make elections, but I don't want to do that tonight. I would like to just confirm if anybody else is interested in running for chair. I am nominating myself. If you are not, then we at least know that, and we can take that information into the next meeting in case you're not here. How about you, Ka or Troy?
Oh, no, thank you. I appreciate it, though.
Yeah, no, same for me, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
Very good.
We're nominating one of you guys for vice chair, just so you know.
Okay, I mean, well, listen. just let me know.
Not being here, you get nominated.
I wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Listen, I really appreciate this, and thanks for being so flexible with this, guys.
Sorry. No need to apologize, not at all. that concludes our meeting and the presentation portion, phase 2 of our annual calendar. Our next meeting will begin and hopefully end deliberations for our funding recommendations that we'll be sending to City Council.
What's the next meeting?
That's a great question.
It'll be the 29th.
Thank you. January 29th?
January 29th.
29th.
Okay.
That's a Thursday?
Yes.
So we typically have this meeting in this room, but it's with all the applicants. So it's a little tight. But we do it so that we can sit close together and, you know, pound out some numbers together and not be so spread out like we would be in the city council chambers. So again, more than welcome to join us. The deliberation portion will be an internal deliberation where we may come to you with specific questions, but other than that, we ask that you don't participate in our conversation. You can join via Zoom, come here, whatever makes you happy, you're more than welcome. Once we come to our conclusion of recommendations, they will be sent to City Council. City Council can do a number of things, but hopefully they take our recommendations and approve them in whole. And I believe that that would happen, it's been happening April, May, something like that. Just so you have an understanding of when, you know, when you can officially celebrate a victory here through the efforts that you've put forth with us.
It's traditionally done prior to the budget cycle being completed. The budget cycle is normally in June. So, gives you an idea.
So hopefully we see you again on the 29th, and I'll look for a
motion to adjourn.
Thank you very much.
Second.
Good night, everybody.